Alright, so let's talk about Batman the Cult. Now, Batman the Cult has always been a comic that it's always been a comic that's fascinated me, and only until recently, and when I say recently, about a few weeks ago, or near almost a month ago, I should say, that I recently finally found this comic in its separate issue forms, excuse me. So yeah, I recently found this at a Comic-Con along with several other comics and graphic novels that I've been wanting to read. One of them being Superman vs. Predator, and of course, another being what I just talked about, RoboCop vs. Terminator. I'll get into Superman vs. Predator very shortly, actually. I'll get into that very shortly. But yeah, with this comic, Batman the Cult, this is probably one of the darkest Batman comics I've read in a while, and trust me, if you've ever heard, like, one of the most essential Batman stories is Batman the Cult, but it's so goddamn hard to find. I don't think it's been... I think it was released in trade in, the late 80s, a year after it got its separate issue released, but I don't know if it ever got... I don't know, honestly, if it ever got re-released in recent years. I don't know. I could be wrong. I honestly could be wrong on that standpoint. If anyone knows it's been re-released in trade form, please let me know in the comments below. But anyway, the thing is with this comic is that it is a story of Batman looking into a series of murders of, like, pimps and drug dealers and whatnot, and it apparently is being caused by the homeless. So Batman is looking into these disappearances, and he runs across a cult that is being driven by the mysterious Deacon Blackfire. Now, Deacon Blackfire is a very interesting character because the thing is that it's very up in the air if he's supernatural or not. Deacon Blackfire, in his supposed origin, was that he was an Indian shaman who was cast out and came in Gotham hundreds of years ago, but now he's come back as a deacon, and now he is attempting to take over Gotham. But the thing is that he's been also called a con man, and then there are other records that Gordon and the GCPD discover of a series of, like, break-ins and other things he's done throughout the ages. So it is very left up in the air. It's not like with Ra's al Ghul, where it's like, oh, we know he's immortal. In here, we don't know if Deacon Blackfire is like an alias, or is he a con man, or is he truly supernatural, or if it's kind of even remotely suggested that Blackfire is a title given to several criminals. That's kind of one of the working theories in this comic. So I find it interesting that they never really go too deep into his backstory. But what's really cool about this comic is that it really goes into how a cult works. And how Jim Starlin explains how a cult works is that, yeah, there are certain things, like they will torture you, they will leave you without food and water, they will blast this rhetoric in your face constantly and drug you constantly until you believe it. There are other points where the leader of a cult has to stay strong, or his followers will turn on him. The cool thing about this comic is that we also have the longest time, actually, in this comic, I honestly thought this was Tim Drake Robin in this story, but no, it's Jason Todd Robin. And this is one of the few times I've actually read a Batman comic where Jason Todd isn't wearing a red hood, and he's Robin. I gotta say, I like that. I really enjoyed that. We also have a Batman in this comic who is very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's at the frayed ends of sanity. I've never really seen Batman so mentally and physically exhausted in a long time. He is just beaten, just drained physically and mentally. He's starved. He's not, and he has to keep going. He has to keep pushing through all of this madness, all of this. And it's a bloody shit show. It is these homeless are driven mad and are now, the thing is that they take over Gotham. They literally take over Gotham, and this is actually one of the, I would not recommend this for small children. This is a adult Batman comic, because there are some moments in here where you're like, oh my god, that just happened. There are just some really violent and bloody scenes and bloody imagery in here. Especially how we discover how Deacon Blackfire, quote-unquote, keeps himself immortal. Because, again, we don't know if he truly is immortal or not, especially after that ending. But, yeah, in this story, we have even, the homeless are being armed, and now they even take on the National Guard. It gets so bad in Gotham, the National Guard has to come in, and there's another cool thing in here that I think speaks true, especially in nowadays, where we get to see, the opinions of Gothamites on what Deacon Blackfire has been up to, and in here we see so much of that this story in here. Of like people saying, "Oh, Deacon Blackfire's not that bad. He has the balls to do something. To do what real people can't." And yeah, that's something we see a lot in the media. There's also a lot of talk of like people. One senator, I believe, says we must look into a nuclear option into this Deacon Blackfire matter. And to which I respond with, "Yeah, that would never happen. In a real life scenario, there would be no chance, unless we're getting invaded by aliens or, by another country. Yeah, that is never going to happen. Dropping a nuclear bomb, one of our own nuclear weapons on ourselves, and it's not a test. Yeah, that will never happen. But then again, you have to wonder if people would actually say, I shouldn't even ask that. I know people would actually be like, just nuke them and forget it. Just nuke them and forget it. Yeah. So this comic is very political. It talks a lot about the homeless problem that you see it sometimes in comics, but this one it's not ad nauseum either. This one really talks about how shitty it is to be homeless. Oh yeah, it sucks to be homeless. Let's not kid ourselves, but it's not every homeless person is like the homeless people you see Al Simmons hang out with in his little block. Anyway, so again, this comic is pretty frickin' fantastic. There's also there's some bloody imagery, and there's actually some swearing. Like, they don't blank out swears in here. I think fuck was dropped a few times. I know shit was dropped a lot of times. But yeah, that kind of took me aback. Like, I was like, wait, did I just see that and it wasn't blanked out? Huh. Oh, man. But yeah, this comic is really great. If you can find it, because this is a hard comic to find. I mean, I got this for believe it or not, I got this at a small convention I went to, a small town convention. And the guy was selling this for all 5 issues, $5 for all 4 issues. How did I make that discovery? Yeah, all 4 issues for $5. So, needless to say, I was very happy about that. But yeah, if you're a major Batman fan, you need to go out and find Batman the Cult. Whether the classic 80s trade... Again, I don't know if it's been reprinted or not, honestly, so I do apologize if I've said it's not been reprinted. But to my knowledge, at least, I don't think it has been reprinted. But yeah, do yourself a favor, go check out Batman the Cult. But anyway, guys, once again, hope you all enjoyed this review, and I will see you guys later.